We have Mike and Ken who have something in common. They both hate Brussels sprouts. And
which is crazy. I had Brussels sprouts for lunch.
Oh, did you really?
Yes.
No, they're both. Both of these guys won the Florida's Funniest competition. Did you win the first year, Ken?
No, I'm the Buffalo Bills. I won the third year.
Oh, third year.
I was second place the 2 years in a row.
That's right.
And I tell them, I said the third year, they was like, Les was like, just give it to him. Give it to him. I tell people, you gave me some comedy advice. It was one of the advice I still give comedians. Best advice. I used to not wear my glasses on stage because I didn't want to look at the audience. Unless I used to look at the front row. Unless like you got to look at everybody, because if you just pay attention to the front row, everybody's gonna lose interest in you.
Right.
So now I point. And I'm, and that was you. That was my first few years of doing it. I would always be just looking down at the front row, and I would never look out at the audience. He's like, hey, can I give you one bit of advice? Look at the audience.
I teach that because because when you're on stage and the lights are in your eyes, you can only see the front. So the tendency is to play to what you can see.
Right.
But I always say, play to the back row. You always want to play to the back row. Then you got everybody. Then you got everybody involved. But
you know what's funny about that? I've told people for years, like younger comics and stuff, I'm like, if you want, go watch Ken Miller. Because Ken, no matter what the room is, he'll get up there and he'll bring people in table by table on a joke. So if he has that joke about marriage, he'll go to that front row and point to some dude and go, dude, you married? And no matter what the guy says, if he says yes, then you'll understand. If he says no, then listen up, brother. But Ken will go table by table. And now to find out that was all from
that was like, hey man, you gotta play because I really and Guy Torrey, another one, Guy Torrey, another one. I didn't wear my glasses. I didn't. He was like, why? I said, I don't want to see the audience. He says, why not? That doesn't even make sense. I said, I'm a young comic. Stupid.
Let me tell you something, Ken. When I come from a theater background, right? So I was right. So I was theater. Okay, so we're saying so theater first. Well, theater has the wall. The walls there, right? So the audience isn't there. They are, but they're not because you're in 1980. You're in 1960, 1930, 1837, whatever. You're in a different place. The audience, you're supposed to be there, but they're not there.
Right.
So you always look, when you're looking out at the audience, you look over their heads. You look through them. You don't connect with them. But when you get in comedy, you're supposed to connect, and that scared the shit out of me. And I would say easily for the first few years I was in comedy, I did not make eye contact with the audience.
Same here.
I looked over them or through them, and it took me a while to get comfortable with that,
when I was in college, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and my scholarship was for theater. I wanted to do stand-up comedy, and I couldn't get the nerve to go to an open mic. And people are like, dude, you're in theater. I'm like, you don't get it. When I'm on stage in front of 2,000 people at college doing Neil Simon, if I say that line and they laugh, it's because I'm a brilliant actor. If they don't laugh, I'm like, Neil Simon can't write a line to save his life.
Right.
But
you're just interpreting.
The first time I went up to do an open mic, I was doing something I wrote, and they didn't laugh. It took me a long time to separate that they didn't like the material. It wasn't that they didn't like me. Because when I said the jokes and it didn't go well my first open mic, I'm like, they hate me. And then you learn over time, you're like, no, they just hated what you were saying. It's not you as a person.
I always was loud and fast.
Me
that
too.
way, if they didn't laugh, I never heard it.
But people, after the show, people after the show be like, "Hey man, you gotta, hey, can you slow down? You talk too fast." I said, "Cause I don't want to. If I stop and you say something, they're silent." But I can tell the story how I met Mike at an open mic. I'm hosting an open mic, and I beat up 2 comedians. So I'm hosting.
Small.
They were small. If you put them on top of each other,
he's a big man.
So I meet Mike at this open mic, and he had just moved. Did you just move to Orlando?
Just moved back to
Just moved to
Orlando.
Orlando. I'm hosting this mic, and so when the host, he would let comics do 10, 15 minutes as open micers, which is a no-no.
No.
It's 35 comics left. So I'm like, everybody's getting 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I like these dudes. They don't give. I light them at 7, they don't go. 10, I walk on stage. I said, you motherfuckers are done. I take the mic. I break up the next comedian. I'm in the back of the open mic getting the list ready, and the brother walks up to me. Let me talk to you outside. I says, no, we're good. No, let me talk to you outside. And he does this to me. I took my glasses off and BAM! I punch him. There's a side door left, so I'm punching this comic out the door. Bop, bop, bop. He's going out the door, man. I look over. His brother rushes towards me. I push him down. I grab the brother. Now I'm beating the brother up. Throw the brother down and look over. Another comedian, Ricky Reyes.
Yeah.
Ricky's holding the other comic in the full nestle. I thought Ricky was helping me. No. I'm popping this dude. Bop, bop, bop. Because I thought Ricky was up. Ricky like, no, I'm trying to break it up. So all these comics grabbed me. I said, oh, y'all jumping me? I'll be back. I tried to Walgreens to get a baseball bat. Because I'm going to come back and beat up everybody. Because my PTSD is kicked in from Vietnam. And I never was in Nam. But my PTSD kicked in.
But you're in a service.
Yeah. I get the bat. And my friend called me and said, what you know? I said, man, Walgreens, I got a bat. I'm going to come back. I'm going to whoop all y'all ass. They said, the police on their way. All right, man, well, I'm going to head on home. Y'all let me know. And that was the night I met Myke Herlihy.
The best part for me was someone came in. I think I was 30th on the list of 31 that night. I was new in town. Someone came in and yelled, Ken's in a fight. And every Orlando comic that knew Ken, I just met him that night. I didn't know him. Ran out the door to help him. But I'm like, I got no dog in this fight. I see an empty stage with no host. I walk up, I grab the mic. There's still an audience.
Yeah.
I do 25 minutes while we're all out there.
Awesome.
And Tom Murphy comes back in, and he's just like, hey, man, thanks for covering. And that was actually, even though you almost went to jail that night, that was my first kind of like, yeah, okay, this guy's good. He covered the open mic while we were being up to
I have never heard that story.
Yeah. And then you bump into him like a couple
and
months
then he
later.
was the manager. The dude I fought was the manager at a L House, and he was like, he was super apologetic. This is how long ago? It was the MySpace days.
Yeah.
Because he sent me a MySpace message apologizing. Then I sent him at the L House. He's like, man, I'm so sorry. Your food is on me. And I was at the time. I was dating this girl. I said, thank you, man. I said, we about to go. She said, why? I said, he ain't about to in my food. I said, no, we can go to another L House. No.
That's hilarious.
That's smart.
You know, when you said about going and getting the bat, have you ever met Eugene Gino, the garbage guy? Who does? Okay, he's local, and he's a real garbage man. But he's very, very funny. I mean, he's a solid feature act here. A lot of people ask for him. But anyway, he does a bit about going to a party in the hood, and he goes, you'll be at a party and people are playing cards and gambling a little bit, and then somebody gets pissed off and goes, I'm gonna go get my gun, I'm gonna come back and kill every motherfucker in here. And then he leaves, and he goes, and I sit and looking around and nobody's leaving. And he goes, did you hear what that man said? He goes, I am the fuck out of here. You know, so he goes, you know, maybe in some neighborhoods when somebody makes that kind of threat, everybody's like, no, it's not real. He goes, where I'm from? He goes, if somebody says they're going to go get a fucking baseball bat, they're going to get a fucking baseball bat. They're coming back.
It was me and Brad Williams and JB Ball. We were at the Tampa Improv. And you know how they make you sell merch outside?
Yeah,
right?
the
Right
outside merch.
in Ybor City. We're finishing up the first show selling merch, and we hear pop, pop, pop. And all of a sudden, everybody goes running towards where the gunshots were.
What?
And Brad's grabbing his merch going, let's get inside. But everybody that was like, go and check out. And he's like, and this is why people in Florida die quicker.
Yeah.
You hear gunshots, you run away.
Yes.
That is if he was at a black party, somebody always, I'm going to get my gun, I'll be back. I wasn't coming back with a bat.
Yeah.
That was just my threat. Matter of fact, Walgreens don't even sell bats. So that was just
when you said that, I was like, you going to Walgreens for a bat?
It was the closest store. It was the closest store.
Get a wiffle ball bat.
I had a wiffle ball bat. I'm coming back. Yeah, that is a threat, common threat in the black community. I'm going to come back, everybody getting shot.
Although I did know a doorman back in my bar days, you know, that he was huge, a big guy. But he had a wiffle ball bat, hard plastic bat, and he loved that bat because he goes, I can beat the shit out of somebody with this bat, and it doesn't really leave a lot of marks or anything. But it hurts a lot.
When you was a kid, your brother ever hit you with a wiffle ball bat?
Yeah,
that thing hurts.
Stings, man.
And we were terrible. It's like my mama would buy us stuff that, like my mama, after Rocky, we wanted to box. So my mama went to Goodwill and bought boxing gloves, but the gloves didn't have any liner in it because they're Goodwill gloves.
Yeah.
We wanted to throw darts. Like my mom bought us a dart thing. So of course me and my brother's outside playing with the darts, and he's throwing them at people. He says, if you run, I'm going to throw it. I said, don't do it. And I took off running. He threw it. Bop, I had to get a tetanus shot, bro. I had to get a tetanus shot.
We were playing darts, me and my cousin, and we were probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. And I was going up, he had a dart, and I didn't know he had one, but I was going up and getting the darts out, and he thought it would be really hilarious to throw it over my head and into the wall in front of me. Well, he ain't that fucking good.
Yeah.
That thing hits me right in the back of the neck, and it didn't really hurt because you don't have, but it was in there, you know? It was in there, and I go into the room with my parents and his parents. They're all sitting there, my uncles and everything, and I'm like, I said, Hamp hit me in the back of the neck, and it's hanging out of my neck. Oh, they
See, that's crazy because my mama okay, so when I talk about being 8 of 11 kids, I really am like, I'm adopted. My aunt adopted me. So my cousins are my brothers and sisters.
Right.
But my mama was raising us as like men. So if we beat each other up, she didn't get in it. She like, look, you boys, that's what boys are supposed to do. True story, man. We were messing with my little brother. We call him Rock. He the baby. We messing with him, and he chases us with a butcher knife. We're running from him. My other brother, Terrell, he opens up the door to peek in, and Abram slices his fingers. He runs over my mama's 2 houses down to her friend's house, blood everywhere. You know what my mama says? That's what you get for fucking with him. Not. Let me take you to the hospital. That's what you get for fucking with him. And fingers just dangling. I was like,
wow.
What? Yeah,
that's tough.
My mama was tough love, bro. Tough.
That's a little too tough.
Nah, my mama was
a little rough tough.
We used to beat each other up. We would but now that we're older, me and my brothers are like the best of friends.
That's great.
But as kids, you would have thought we hated each other.
Right.
You would have thought we hated each other.
And at I had 2 sisters, but I had a cousin. My cousins, there were 4 boys in their house, small house, and there was it was like your house. It was a constant fight, a wrestling match, pretty much going on, and in the house. And my mother just drove her crazy. And but my little grandson, he's 6 now. He just turned 6, and there's a little boy next door in the same age. And literally, Zayden will say, "Can Thomas come over and fight?" Not play. Can Thomas come over and fight?
Yeah.
He wants to fight, right? Yeah. So they were over, and they were doing just and so Pam, my wife, Pam's like, "Stop!" No. I said, "Pam, they're boys. They're boys. That's what they do." She goes, "Well, I can't. No, I'm not. You sit here with them." And I said, "Okay, guys, come here." I said, "All right. In front of your grandmother, here's the deal. There's some rules. There's some ground rules on this. Here are the ground rules on fighting. You can't punch with your fist. You can't. And if anybody says I give, it's over.
Yeah.
If it tap out, it's over. Okay, that's your rules. Other than that. And you can't pick up something. And,
Can't pick up a butcher knife.
Yeah. You can't pick up a weapon.
Because Myke got 2 boys. Myke has 2 boys.
Yeah, they're saints though. They don't fight. They've never hit each other. They don't. It just doesn't happen. My oldest is 14.
That's crazy.
My oldest is 14, and he's always been his little brother's protector. And I tell the younger one all the time, I'm like, you are lucky that you grew up with your brother as your brother, because Uncle Jason beat me for fun.
And because you have 2 brothers.
Yeah, I had
2 brothers. That's right. One of your brothers passed. That's right.
But yeah, my oldest one was only a year older than me. My younger one was like 8 years younger than me. But my mom would work nights, and my dad would come home, sit in the chair, and we didn't have cable, so he would open up a beer, sit in his chair, look at me and my 1 year older than me brother, and be like, "Well, you guys see who can beat the other one." And then I realize now my dad created Ultimate Fighting. Sure. There were no rules. There was no nothing. It was just him with a beer, and you fought until he said, "Yeah, it was very, God, I should probably bring that up to my therapist."
Yeah.
It's a very gladiator.
We were mostly, I think with us, it was like, there was no punching.
Yeah.
Unless you really got
mad.
Unless you really got mad.
It was more tangling
it was
up
wrestling.
and grappling.
It was wrestling.
Me and my older brother would throw head punches. We would hold each other down. We were latchkey kids, too. So once I got older, he would always pick a fight with me. We only had one TV. So if he wanted to watch something, I was supposed to change channel to what he wanted. And every now and then I'd be like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." And then he would grab me, put me in a headlock. And then I'd wrestle him. And eventually I got big enough that I could be a competition for him. I remember one day I had him in a chokehold. And he's like, let me go. I'm just looking at the clock because I know my mom's home in 35 minutes. And I just got to hold him for 35 minutes. Because if you're listening, and your older brother says, "Let me go. It's over. I'll leave you alone." It's never over.
Not over.
As soon as you can let him breathe again, he's back in.
Yeah, it's not over. That's great, bro.
Hey, just the Indiana Notre Dame game's on up here, and of course, there used to be a tour. A one-nighter tour that a guy named Tom Sobel booked called the Comedy Caravan.
Yeah.
And it was all one-nighters in college towns. But you didn't play on the campus. You played in a bar, one of the bars across from the campus. And University of Indiana had the longest running, Tom told me it was the longest running one-nighter, Bears Place at University of Indiana. Y'all ever heard of it?
No, because
I know the Sobel runs.
Yeah, my college shows are the worst. Because I talk about dad and kids, and worst show I've ever had. I was at Bethune-Cookman in Daytona, and it's a HBCU, historically black college. It's me, Preacher Lawson, and another comedian, and we get there and the dude's like, hey, they wanted a rapper, we couldn't afford them, y'all here. And it's clean.
Good substitution.
Now the 18, 19-year-old freshmen, I get out there, I'm talking about my kid. It's a girl up front doing her toes. Like she's giving herself a pedicure while I'm on stage. I bomb. I bring up the next comedian, he bombed. Before I bring Preacher up, I do the dirtiest street joke. I'm talking about it got pussy, fuck, dick, everything in front of it, and they go crazy. I said, man, fuck y'all. Preacher Lawson. I'm outside on the phone with Sean Banks, and he went to Bethune. I can't stay in this college. I should burn this money. Preacher murders, because Preacher clean.
Yeah.
We driving back to Orlando. It's a
Monday night. But he's just so animated.
Yeah, and it's a Monday night when I run my open mic, the whole ride back, and Preacher drove. He never drives. He called me Superman. Superman, you bombed. I've never seen you bomb. I can't wait. We get to the open mic. Preacher don't even put the car in park. He just jump out, run to the open mic. Ken bomb. Let's no lie. I get to the open mic. I bump everybody. I said, no. I do my 15 minutes that I did at the college. I said, no, y'all not. So ever since then, I said, never do a college again. I will never do another college.
The college
show,
crowds. Well, of course, this was. At the time when I was doing these college shows, I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
Single mid-20s.
I'm damn near 40.
They're just what you think they would be. They're rowdy, but it's a regular one-nighter. So they're used to comedy, and this Bears Place, it was the front of it was a typical college bar. Picnic tables, cheap draft beer, cheap food. But in the back, there was an actual little theater. And it was like a small amphitheater, probably set 150 people, but the stage is in the bottom and the seats go up. So the crowd is in the power position. Yeah. They're looking down at you, it's right?
Like
an arena. And you gotta walk through them. You gotta walk down through them to get to the stage and back out, right? And it's one of those things where they will give you about almost like the stories of Live at the Apollo. They give you about 5 minutes. They give you about 5-minute grace period before they'll start yelling at you. And so you have 5 minutes to get them to laugh and get their attention. And you either do great or they'll just tear you apart.
Was it Richard Pryor's son that got booed off
Man
stage?
got booed at the Apollo.
Oh, the Apollo is they don't give a fuck who you are.
I've worked with his daughter.
Right? They booed Buddy. And then the next day, Godfrey does a great Richard Pryor. He was talking about, man, Richard Pryor been heavy looking down like, didn't nobody want to be a doctor? All y'all want to be comedians? Don't know. Dude, Patrice O'Neal got booed at the Apollo. He turned around and he just had his back to them. They booed him. They booed him all the time. There's no mercy as far as that goes, But that's a thing about one-nighters as far as that goes, You're either you gotta go prove yourself in the first 5 minutes, or you're just gonna lose them. Them bar shows. There's nothing like them bar shows. I tell comedians all the time, them bar shows. That's why I'm fast. Because I feel like if I have a little bit of silence, somebody's gonna say something. It's gonna fuck my whole night up.
Well, you either you come into a good comedy club and you have their attention.
Yeah.
You go into a bar, even though they know it's a comedy show, you have to captivate them
Yes.
and
Yes.
pretty quick, or else it's going to follow. But if you do, they're a blast. I mean, they're some of the most fun shows, you know.
Yeah,
as
I
far
think it
as
just depends, like you said, on the audience, because like you've trained your audience over
Very
years.
well trained.
Oh, yeah.
These guys. This is my first weekend here, and you can just tell. I've done 3 shows so far, and you can tell these people know how to watch a comedy show.
well, yes.
But you can go up there, tell your joke, hit the punch, let it breathe, let them laugh, let the laughter start to come down some before you go into your next bit. Whereas with bar jokes, you go in on your next joke before
the laughter
before
ends.
that laughter is even built
Oh
up.
yeah. You got to be fast. Well, you know, and I've had, and I've talked about this many times, but it's worth saying again. You know, people go, "How did you do that?" And I go, "It's not brain surgery, okay? You set rules. You demand that your audience respects the professional performer that's standing on that stage, and you as a club owner are more you're more dedicated to that than you are to getting 4 more drink sales.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you have an owner who is more dedicated to drink sales than to the performance, then that's where you're going to have an issue. And they're not disciplining the crowd, or they're not disciplining. There's like a kind of a payoff. You go, well, if you're in here not spending any money and just being an asshole, I'll kick you out.
Right.
But if you got a $150 tab, I'll let you do whatever you want to do. Well, that's where we've never done that. We don't give a shit. You can't.
We're gonna toss you, and you're still gonna pay your.
Yeah, you're still gonna
$150.
pay your $150.
And I don't care if you're somebody who goes, I spend a lot of money in here. I don't give a fuck. I really don't, because in the long run, you are not going to make or break my living here.
Yeah.
I'm still going to, at the end of the year, I'm going to make a good enough amount of money that I'm a happy guy by kicking people like you out, you know.
Because I feel like comedians would be like, man, I'm going to do McCurdy's again. Audience is great. They're controlled. Like, I don't have to worry about, this, you know, because when I go into some places that I've worked for years, when I walk into that room, I'm already like, it's going to be one of them nights.
I got to babysit tonight.
It's going to be one of them nights.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I come here, I have never, ever in my life said, it's going to be one of them nights. Because it's always great. And I was telling Myke when the Wednesday night show, he says, how's the crowd? I said, he has trained these motherfuckers. You will be fine. He has trained these motherfuckers. They pay attention. And even if they don't, he got a bounce in the back that's going to come. And if not, Marcelo, come up. You need to be quiet.
Or leave.
What was it? Marcella tonight came back and said,
God
hey,
love Marcella.
I already talked.
She deals with the...
Yeah, I already talked to someone tonight because they were clapping weird. And we're like, what? She's like, he was clapping. Yeah. But you know when you're supposed to clap for the joke? He was waiting like another minute to clap. Yeah. So I just went and told him he needs to clap at the right point.
It's some clubs are just trained to be like, you know you're going to have a good weekend.
Yeah.
But then you go do, like I said, some of these bar shows, and I walk in, I'm just like, man, I don't know if I got more years in this. I don't know if I want to keep doing it.
The worst is when the club owner is like, well, some comics like to get into it with them. I'm like, I'm not that comic, man.
Well, and if the comic says that, if a comic tells
like
me...
a Steve Hofstetter who enjoys
who says, okay, I
Yeah.
go, all right, but there's even going to be a point with you where you're going to want to move off that person.
Yeah, what's the code that I need to get involved?
Well, and you know what I tell my kind of tell you guys, I go, I don't have a cup. I tried to do that. I have a glass of water.
The glass of water.
That. I go, here's the code. Somebody needs to deal with that. Because that's what I say. I go, somebody needs to deal, because I've hired somebody to deal with that. So you say somebody needs to deal with that.
That
you know what I mean?
We just talked about this, man, on
you
the
know.
radio other day, me and then we were talking about hecklers and what do you do? Because people really think that we want that.
Well, especially since Matt Rife started
we love it.
that
we don't want
being
that.
popular.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Well, here's the thing is, and it's for people listening, I'm not saying you guys know, of course, is that, you know, when a comedian's a really good comedian, it looks easy. All professionals make whatever they do look simple, look like nothing. You know, take a golf swing, look at a pro, looks easy. Take a golf club and feel like a complete spastic idiot trying to do it. We make it look easy. Well, in comedy, when you make it look easy, it looks like you're just talking.
Yeah.
It looks like you're just talking. So the idea of someone engaging you, it looks like that's almost supposed to happen. That they're not. You're going, no, man. Here's what I want you to do. Come on a Friday or Saturday night and watch both shows. What you're going to see is all that shit that you think is coming right off the top of their head. You will see a highly structured show. You know, there's some improv, you know, there's some of those moments, but comics are and people don't realize it because we look so cavalier out there, you know, so that leads to that sort of thing. And what I'm training the people is to understand these to get to A club stages, as we all know, takes a tremendous amount of work to get there. These people have worked. They're pros. Treat them like professionals. You know what I mean? It's like I'll get somebody. You know what I have to train people in, like this community. Like I had a guy call me the other day, and he was, I know, and he was like, "Hey, would you mind going over and doing this little thing at this country club for me?" And I said, well, here's the deal, man. I said, yeah, I mean, I could do it, but I said, what I want, and I could even, this is somebody maybe I like and I want to do a favor for. Okay, so maybe I'm going to do it for free. But here's the deal. I said, I have staging requirements. Because here's the deal. If comedy takes a very structured way that you present it, and if you don't do it that way, a very good professional can look very unprofessional. And we all know that. You know, you can look completely silly when
the simple thing, lighting, microphone,
outdoors,
speakers, outdoors, like just like simple things that you would hope that you would have.
We just last week, a friend of ours hit us up. He's like, "Hey, do you want to do Dr. Phillips on a Thursday for a company party?" And we have the Dr. Phillips Center in Orlando, which is a beautiful theater.
Like that, like
it's huge.
Big names do it.
And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. So then the day before the gig, I'm like, so what time do I need to be at Dr. Phillips? And he sends me this address. And I'm like, that's not the Dr. Phillips Center. He's like, no, I said in Dr. Phillips, which is a city around Orlando. And I'm like, what is that? I Google it, and it's a private residency. And I call him back. I'm like, hey, man, I don't do house parties. I always try to throw those off to you. I feel comfortable in a club. I never, in my defense, I've never done, but anytime someone's like, hey, will you do my wedding? No. Will you do a house party? It's a birthday. No, I don't want to do
Well,
those.
my thing is I have a contract, and let's put it this way. Over the years, every time I did a gig and something was funky, I had a new line in my contract every fucking time. And I have that, and I get any comic that wants it, I'll give it to you for private performances. I'll give it to you. And the thing is, it's the guidelines. And I go, will you play wherever? And I go, yeah, I will, but you have to follow these guidelines.
Here's what it takes to ensure
you have to follow these guidelines. And if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. And if I show and I want a 50% deposit, because if I don't get 50%, you'll cancel the show 2 weeks out. You know what I mean? We get that all the time. So I want half the money before we're even going to talk about anything. And you got to follow. And trust me, I've a couple of times I've showed up and it wasn't right. And I like, well, I'm here, and I went ahead and did it. And it only took me a couple that I go, that ain't fucking happening again. And then now I'm like, and I've only had a 2 or 3 because I'm so adamant that I've showed up, and these were big events, you know, and they didn't have the spotlight, they didn't have the requirements, you know, something within that. And I walked in to check everything out like a couple hours early, and I went, hey guys, you ain't got the table, you ain't got it, you ain't got this, you ain't got that, and they're like, well, you know, and I go, well, I tell you what, bro, here's the deal, I'll be up in my hotel room, and there's a great ball game on, and I'm gonna order room service, and when you have all that stuff, you let me know, and you do it this way. Otherwise, I'm gonna take this 50% deposit and you still owe me the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's that. I'm just not going to do it. And you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to do that, or else, you know, you just put put yourself in a situation to look bad when you're not.
Yeah, I've said it for years. When comedians open a room, I was like, you guys just put comedy anywhere. I said it doesn't work everywhere. I know you want to make I know you want to make a little $100 a week. It doesn't work everywhere.
It won't. And you know what? Years ago, what set that in on me was, I don't know if you remember Pam Stone, but Pam was on the television show Cheers.
Who was she on?
Not Cheers. Coach. She was on Coach.
Oh. What?
And she played tall, blonde hair, and she played Dauber, the assistant coach's girlfriend.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's Pam. Pam was a great stand-up comedian, and is. So she just, I don't think she's doing it much anymore. But and she won American Comedy Awards Comic of the Year and all that kind of stuff. So I'm working with her one time, middling for her, and we were talking about this very thing. She goes, "Les, I just did one corporate event. I mean, like 400 people. They paid us a shitload of money." She goes, "I opened it. Joe Montana was the speaker,
keynote, yeah.
right?" She goes, "Les, the sound sucked. The lighting sucked. There was probably 50 feet or 100 feet between the stage and the first row.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People are standing up in the back." She goes, "We both had a horrible," and I go, "How did your agency, how did y'all's agency or management allow you?" And I said, "I'll tell you why. Because they were paying you a shitload of money, and they were getting their 10%, and they just took the money and ran. They were afraid to say, no, they won't do it unless, because they thought they'd lose the gig." I said, "That's where you guys as artists, you know, and Joe Montana as a huge, I mean, you know, what the fuck, put himself in a bad situation." I said, "You have to be very proactive of going, I'm not doing these fucking things unless shit's right, you know."
I've
I mean,
had at least 2
terrible
shows in the past month for people who book one-nighters and stuff like that in like hotels and convention centers, where I'll watch them go and set up the whole room, and then when the show starts, they turn the house lights down, and no one has any lighting on the stage or where the mic is. And I'll go up and be like, "Hey guys, we're gonna have to do this with house lights at least half light."
Yeah.
Well, that will ruin the ambiance. I'm like, if you don't have a light on the performer, this one place, the host in the feature went up, and you could see silhouettes of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry if it ruins into the ambience. I need them to see my face.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a lot of jokes that are facial.
And I definitely need a spotlight.
Well,
like the
I definitely need a spotlight.
Well, the thing is, that's one of the big things in these private shows. Is I go, you either got to have dedicated lighting to the stage where you can dim out the rest of the audience, which is what I demand, or you got to have a spotlight.
Yeah.
You know, and
you spend all this money to put this night
and
together.
that's the one thing that I've shown up the most, the couple times that they didn't have. And they go, "Well, we'll just bring the house lights up." And I go, "Nope. It's written down on that piece of paper that you signed." Okay.
Right now in my car, I have a mic stand and an alternate speaker system. Because if I'm driving to a gig, there's been too many gigs I've gone to that they're like, "Yeah, this is our sound system," and it's the thing they use to announce, "Hey, you left your lights on."
Right.
You know.
I know.
It's a professional show.
We used to do that too,
Yeah.
and I actually had you can buy these little spotlights for a
next
couple
on my
$100. You know, that'll do just fine.
Yep.
And but let me tell you a little secret on that. You go. You need to have all this stuff, or what we used to do early on is I go, or I can bring it, but I'm charging you for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just bringing it. You know, if I'm going to bring it, set it up, break it down, it's another $500 or $1,000, whatever
I'm
the
your
fuck.
sound guy tonight.
Exactly. You know. Hey, I'll ask you this, because here we are. We're at Christmas time. What was Christmas like at your house growing up? I mean, not like the day. Was it a consistent thing? Was it inconsistent?
It was weird for me because, like, one year we would get everything we wanted, and then the next year we didn't have enough money for it. Then, like, my mama, me and my brother joke about it. One year we got bikes. The next year we might have got 2 gifts.
Right.
It was just a weird thing. But for my family, it was always dope because I got such a big family and just being together and my mama could cook and just having a good time. But I remember when I was a kid, they had something called the Empty Stocking Fund, where rich white people would bring presents to the hood, to the projects.
Right.
And I never forget, man, they pulled up in their Mercedes and they looked terrified. I lived in the they looked terrified. And they brought us the gifts. I never forget, it was the basketball, a football, and socks. You know, the socks with the red, blue, the run with
Yeah.
And I was grateful for it. And I said, when I got older, I was going to do something for kids who were in need. And that's how I started my toy drive.
Oh, great.
That I've been doing for 13 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So from my childhood, birthed my toy drive. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were at somebody's house with no matter what, with a big dinner and everything.
My mama would cook. It was any holiday. That's why I cook on holidays. My mama would always cook on holidays.
Like would there be a dozen people or 2 dozen people?
Because it's already 11 kids. So,
God, yeah.
So it's always a turkey, some ham, always some collard. You know, the typical black Thanksgiving: turkey, ham, collard greens,
that was ours too.
potato salad, sweet potato pie, not pumpkin. Sweet potato pie, not pumpkin. Chitlins, which I would never eat again. I can't stand chitlins.
I tried it once. That's all I can do.
Oh, yeah. But we always had, if it was a holiday, my mom, Easter, my mom was cooking. 4th of July, we barbecuing. Because every 4th of July Memorial, I still barbecue to this day. But Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm cooking.
What about you?
When I used to live in Connecticut till I was about 8 years old. So Christmas is up there would be wake up, open the presents under your tree there, and then get dragged around to every relative's house because you had your mom's side of the family, which were the Italians, and everybody would be there. So we do like lunch there, and then we go over to the Irish side of the family for dinner, which always kind of sucked because you sit there, you ask for one toy, you get under the Christmas tree, and as soon as you open it, they're like, all right, leave that here, get in the car. So now you're just like driving around town, and all you want to be is home playing with your Legos.
Right.
But that was in my family. Like, we moved down here, and that was just my core, my 2 brothers, my mom, my dad. And we didn't have a lot of money, but my parents did this amazing job. Like, I believed in Santa Claus till I was 14. Like, literally thought there was Santa Claus till I was 14. And my parents did this great thing. Like, I remember one year I wanted rollerblades so bad. I just wanted rollerblades. And I didn't get rollerblades, but I got Veriflex from Kmart, which were like this. They were Kmart version of rollerblades. Yeah. And I couldn't have been happier, man. And that was the consistency for every Christmas. It's like, you're not going to get that brand name thing you want, but you're going to get the closest thing to it we can afford.
Nice. Mine was at my grandparents' house. They had a barbecue restaurant in Chattanooga that they opened in 1929 and was there for 57 years.
Nice.
And so by the time we were kids in the 60s, you know, they were successful. But their house was tiny. It was a little, maybe, it wasn't 2,000 square feet, but it was 3 bedrooms, 1 big area where the kitchen, dining room, and living room was all together, and 1 bathroom. And there would literally, and my grandmother would cook the night before.
Yeah.
And so everything's ready the next day. It's just heat everything up. And a lot of like the same kind of country out there. You know, she was Tennessee country, and my grandfather was Alabama country, and it was just that same kind of thing.
That's country.
And but it was one of those things where, you know, literally we went to that one place. We didn't bounce around because everybody just came there because it was just, you know, the food was incredible. And I mean, in that little house, there'd be 20 people. You know, card tables and you know the whole thing, and then at the first seating at 1 o'clock, and it just seemed like it was just people just kept coming. You know what I mean? But it was great because once we ate and got that first meal out of the way, they had an acre of land out there.
Oh, wow.
And so then it was like, then we could get all of what our toys mostly, maybe it's toys, but mostly it was playing football and shit. Yeah. And we were just all out.
Just having to be together,
playing.
But my question, can you barbecue?
I'm a hell of a barbecue.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I tell you what, I am a barbecue fucking snob, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because my grandfather's, now, he was just pulled pork and sandwiches and
I'm from North Carolina, that's
and
our
beef.
thing.
They did a beef. But but he cooked ribs and shit like that, but not for the restaurant. He just did that and burgers and stuff. But the big thing is when I go places, I can't find good pork in Florida. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because it ain't that hard. You know the thing, low and slow, man. You gotta. My grandfather had a barbecue pit in the back that was fucking, I don't know, 30 feet long, and big shoulders, and he'd start them at the end. Fire's over here, and they start them there, and out every so many hours they rolled those things towards the fire, and it took usually about 8 hours to cook a shoulder. You know what I mean? And so by the time you took it off, you're taking that hard burnt stuff off the outside. You know, we chopped that up. That was called outside meat. People like that hard crackling.
The crackling,
and we put that in another pan. But you pull the pork out. But by then, cooking it that slow, all the fat, most of the fat has melted into the meat. And then you'd hand pull, and when you're pulling it out, any fat, any gristle goes into the garbage. So the meat is all completely lean, except that fat's into it.
I love barbecue. There's a chain down here in Florida. I won't mention them, but in a pinch, I'll swing in there. And the worst thing in the world is when you get that sandwich and take that bite, and there's just that huge glob.
I'm telling you, man.
That will ruin the rest of it.
It does, you know. And I don't mind. I mean, I go to Sonny's. I know it, you know. But Sonny's is the fast food of barbecue, you know. And there's an audience for that. Sure. Obviously, they do great. They make a lot of money. But it's just, you know, I've told Pam a million times. I said, if I was younger, you know what I mean? I said, I could open up a barbecue place. If somebody put a barbecue place in this area that really, really did it like you get barbecue in North Carolina and Tennessee and North Georgia and up in there, you know, that kind of barbecue, it would kick fucking ass. Hey, they're getting ready to bring me up on stage.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we better end this someday.
Let's end it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Love it.